What's up, everyone? Mike from What the Fun. This debate section is from our latest episode of Test Your Might, the weekly video game debate show. The full episode is found on any podcast app of choice with Apple and Spotify links down below. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.
All right, on to the third one. Have you guys heard about this Gollum game, this Lord of the Rings game that came out and flopped?
Yes.
And they're actually apologizing for its rocky launch. Like, there was paid DLC for a deluxe edition to get a different voice, to get like different voiceovers of the actual language from the movies, from Middle Earth. I think it's the Elven language or something that you'd have to pay just to get a VO. So it's not doing too great everywhere you look. So if Gollum wasn't a thing, pitch me a Middle Earth themed game that would have been the game we wanted. It doesn't have to be about Gollum. It doesn't have to be about a character in Lord of the Rings. It could be about Middle Earth in general, something you create. Pitch it for me. Sean, would you like to go first or second?
All right. I don't have time. All right. So, Lord of the Rings. We've seen a lot of great and bad things. We've just seen a lot of things from Lord of the Rings in all aspects of media. We got shows, we got movies, we got books on books on books. So many pages. We've got games, at least two of which were like really good. I'm thinking of I think it was Lord of the Rings 2, PS2, and then that Shadows of Mordor one, the first one of those. Amazing, great. Apparently Gollum wasn't. It's been pretty combat heavy, and people do like combat. I mean, it is a series about the fate of the universe and good versus evil, so it makes sense. There's going to be violence. I think what we need is a new perspective on Middle Earth, and that's going to come in the form of the Giant Eagles. We're going to play a game where you are one of the Giant Eagles, Gandalf's besties, and you are making your life in Middle Earth.
Jelly's going to love you, dude. Jelly's going to love you.
Unfortunately, Jelly's not here.
The Eagles.
What's the title of your game, Sean?
That's too early to reveal that.
Okay.
It's too punchy.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
You're not ready for that. Yeah, you're not ready for that.
Druid, the game. No.
So,
callback for anyone who hasn't listened to last week's episode.
I was gonna pitch one game, and then I heard Sean's pitch, and their pitch was so impassioned that it stopped me from making the choice that I was going to make, which was a Diablo-style Middle Earth game, action game. But that's kind of on the nose. Sean was right? And Sean's making like Sim Eagle Middle Earth edition. That's a title you can use if you'd like, Sean. Oh yeah, no, Sean's not going to use that. They're too sophisticated for that. However, the game that I am pitching, a game also inspired by Sean, by something Sean said earlier.
Powerful.
Yeah, we are going to be in the Middle Earth School of Wizardry. We are going to go and learn how all of the wizards from the Middle Earth gain their powers. So we're going to be with Gandalf the Grey and Saruman and the bunny dude as they're all learning. Sorry, Jelly. As they're all learning how to become wizards, and so basically, what we're going to get is, instead of a Diablo clone, we're going to have a Hogwarts Legacy clone, but set in Middle Earth, where you're learning how to become a wizard amongst the wizards that are there in Middle Earth before there is conflict, before there is drama, before those wizards wind up dying. Because there were a lot of wizards, but those wizards were murdered by Saruman once he was drunk with power and had been seduced by Sauron. So that is what you're going to get. You're going to get, early Gandalf adventures in the world of wizarding on Middle Earth.
More about eagles, please. I cannot wait.
All right. So Middle Earth is still happening after the fall of Sauron. Yes, Eagle's been destroyed. There's 1,000 different endings, but the world still continues. And this obviously includes the eagles, which were one of the first creatures in this universe. They were one of the first to go. They're going to be one of the last to leave. And what this is going to show is that even if evil isn't necessarily as complicated as people might think in the real world, like in Tolkien's world, evil's pretty. There's some grays, but not. But violence and survival still have to exist after evil is defeated. And with these eagles, the messengers of Manwë, let's just go with that with the title. Nerds are gonna love it. And we're gonna actually actively confront that, because being an eagle, where you are life simming this eagle, is going to be more than just being just this messenger pigeon or whatever for an elf, a human, whatever, for a person. Yes, it's gonna include that. There's gonna be things where, like, hey, you gotta choose, like, we're gonna confront that, but then we're also gonna confront, why don't the eagles just fly the ring to Mount Sauron, Mount Doom, which has been confronted, kind of in the text, definitely directly by Tolkien, but we're gonna get to live the why. And it's, if you're a big BA eagle, and you've got your own stuff going on, you're not just a taxi service. You have other stuff going on. You're going to be living your life. You're going to be, diving down, being the apex predator of the skies. And then you're going to be going and having your smart creature, your big smart creature, also going to be interacting with the various peoples of Middle Earth, at your own discretion, because you are a strong, independent eagle.
So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, everyone. I misspoke. And I have to apologize to you.
You said the rabbit guy?
Yeah, I said the rabbit guy, but also I said Middle Earth. And this game is not going to take place on Middle Earth. This game is going to be called Lord of the Rings Presents The Undying Lands. This is where the wizards are from. They're from across the sea. You remember at the end of Return of the King? In one of the 17 endings, I think one of the last endings was Gandalf going off across the sea, right? And he was going back to the Undying Lands, where the wizards are from. Now, 5 wizards came from the Undying Lands to Middle Earth, but there were more than just 5. And that's what you learn when you're in the Undying Lands, and learning all about how to become a wizard and how those wizards, and that's going to be part of the story, is how those wizards were selected to leave the Undying Lands and go across the sea to Middle Earth to fight Sauron. All of that stuff will be revealed in this game as you're learning how to become a wizard. And you'll
I'm actually super excited about your idea I want to know what does learning how to be a wizard entail? I obviously don't need the whole thing. There are mysteries to be revealed, magician never reveals their secret, yada yada. But like broad thrust, what are a couple of points that are like, what is a wizard in Lord of the Rings, and how, like, what are some steps you imagine you would need to take to become
you can manipulate magic, but one of the beautiful things about this game is the fact that not everyone is going to manipulate magic in the same way, as we've seen with the wizards that we did see in Lord of the Rings. They all have very different powers. And one of the things that you'll be able to do during the course of this game is, as you organically continue to play, you will gain different abilities, and those abilities will manifest themselves in a certain way that you will wind up having a certain type of wizarding power. And so, some people will be able to control heat. Some people will be able to control cold and, lightning and earth and rain, all these different elements. But then some people will be able to change into animals, right? There'll be all of these different things that people will be able to do and control through their magic and their staff. And that is going to be an important part. As, in Harry Potter, it was important that people picked their wand. That was an important thing. In Star Wars, it was important that someone picks their lightsaber. In the Undying Lands, you are going to pick your staff. That's going to be a very, very important thing, and that will help to determine the type of powers that you receive during the course of the game.
This all kind of makes sense, but I'm going to say I am a little... The thing about wizards in Lord of the Rings is that, and maybe I'm misremembering an example, but most of the time you're not getting the very idea of like what a lot of people conceive of as magic. It's rarely super direct. When it is, it's not like super game... It's not like it by itself is game-changing anything. Whereas in video games, what you're having, and you explain this a little bit, it seems like there's at least a little bit of the quest for expanding your power, like even if it is within the narrow subset of whatever you're going to do. And the problem with like the general thrust with most video games, and why I would have been excited about this idea, because it would have to confront this, is that many video games are about collecting more and more power and agency over the world. But in the Lord of the Rings setting, this cannot be, unless you are trying... It can be, but it is always a problem. It's problematic to do so because the power corrupts. That is the single truth of Lord of the Rings. Uh-huh. How do you prevent this being a video game from stepping all over that idea?
How do I prevent power from corrupting?
Yeah, because like this. Well, no, I mean, I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can do that because that's the rule. I don't prevent
the power from corrupting.
But how do you prevent video games being a collection of power from corrupting the narrative of the world, which is the power corrupts?
The reason that everyone is working so hard in this game is to potentially be one of the 5 that go across the sea to Middle-earth to fight Sauron. We know that Sauron is there, and now it becomes urgent that the cadre of wizards that are there, that are training, that are growing their strength, do so at an expedited rate so that they can be selected. They can show that together, the 5 of them that will go, because only 5 will go, and fight Sauron. So you are trying to be one of the 5. And during the course of the game, you will start to see hints potentially of, if you do it right, you will see hints that Saruman, while he seems earnest, there are things about him that lead you to believe that maybe he is susceptible to being corrupted. And you can determine at any given point whether or not you will try to thwart him or alert other people? Or will you join him and try to be one of the 5 that make their way to Middle-earth? And as a result of all of those things happening, when the game ends, when the game finally ends, you will have an ending that will allow you to see what happens in Lord of the Rings. So there is going to be a perfect ending where everything that we saw in the books and in the movies comes to pass and transpires exactly as we saw it. There you go, boom. That's a kind of a boring ending, but it's the good one. And then the writers have the chance to be creative about it and create some different endings. Maybe you decide to side with Sauron and you get selected. You do all the things right well enough that you get selected to be one of the 5. And now you and Sauron go off to Middle-earth and you manipulate and murder the other 3 wizards. And you help Sauron defeat everyone and take over Middle-earth. Maybe that happens. Maybe you kill Saruman and you become Sauron's right hand. And the 2 of you try to fight Gandalf the Grey and the Fellowship to stop them from taking the One Ring of Power.
Okay. All right. Cut.
Okay.
Where's the game?
All right. I didn't get a lot on Sean's game, like details what you're doing. Really, you said there's always
You're
going to be
flying around.
violence and
You're
survival.
eating things like an eagle. You are interacting with the peoples, being sometimes a messenger, sometimes a carrier. But I mean, you're generally going around doing eagle stuff in Middle Earth, and then again, because it's Middle Earth, the eagles, there's like some socializing happening. But the thrust of it is just the sim element for sure.
Lord of the Rings, eagle stuff.
Eagle stuff.
Okay.
Let's just make that the name. It's simple and sweet, honestly.
I actually like the eagle idea, Sean. I do. I know Jelly's going to hate me for it, but visually, imagine flying through the Mines of Moria or flying around Mount Doom, flying around the iconic scenes in next-gen quality graphics, and not having to worry about dying, just flying around and enjoying the sights of Middle-earth as an experience that you control. I think a lot of fans would like that. Cicero, your idea is so all over the place. It went everywhere. It started on Middle-earth, and then it went to the Undying
Well,
Lands,
that's where it is. It's the Undying.
And then it came back later on in the game.
No, well, you don't go back. You never go to Middle-earth. You never go to Middle-earth. That is the epilogue, right?
So it just cuts, and then you don't get to enjoy.
You get a bit of a story afterward. What's an epilogue word?
You've already seen that story.
Not with you controlling it.
Unless you change it.
Yeah. Eagles for the win. Sorry, Jelly. That's a point for Sean. Oh, God, that hurts to talk. Okay. All right, we're moving on from that.